What's up, y'all? This is Let's Get Personal with Ramonye-Jenae, and this is my very first vlog post. I'm super excited about it. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into it. Couple things before I get into the discussion. I want to apologize about the quality of the video. I am recording this from my laptop's camera, and it's not the greatest, so I do apologize, but y'all be all right. And I also want to apologize about the sound. Not quite sure if you're going to get a lot of the background noise because of me using my laptop to record this, but nevertheless, it will get better sooner, I promise. But for now, this is just what we gonna have to work with. Okay, but yeah, let's go ahead and dive in. So, disclaimer: if you are easily triggered by discussions or talks about sexual abuse, especially sexual abuse on children, then this may not be the best video for you. But if you would like to dive in on this conversation, if you got some things that you want to discuss, maybe, share a few things, then go ahead and make sure you comment below. You can send me some feedback. If you want to talk about anything, my email is below. So, all of my contact information is below, so feel free to do so. But I wanted to discuss sexual abuse on children because I feel like it happens way more often than not. And I feel like we as a community don't discuss it. Some kids or some children go through it and they may never talk about it. And I guess the big thing about it is we feel like, oh, that's never going to happen to me. That's not going to happen to my children. Like, I'll never leave my children with someone who's going to do anything to them. I only keep them or only send them to people who I trust or whatever. But needless to say, my mother probably thought the same thing when she was sending me to a babysitter, unbeknownst to her and anybody else, that actually wasn't the case. Now, I was not raped. I want to put that out there. I was not raped, but I was molested as a child, and this is probably new to basically everyone who may be listening to this. I have disclosed it to a handful of people, but it just wasn't something that I felt comfortable talking about. And that's another reason why I wanted to bring it up, because it happens, and as children we feel like we did something wrong, or our family is going to be upset with us because we let this happen, and we just hold on to it. Now, luckily for me, I wouldn't say it affected my adulthood or anything like that. But there's some people who go through this as children and they grow up and they harbor on it, and it's hard for them to maneuver in life because they've never discussed it, they never talked about it, and it's just weighing on their shoulders, and it's very unfortunate. And because I have a child myself, I feel like this is something that we need to speak to our children about, to let them know, like, hey, it's not okay for anybody to touch you inappropriately, for anybody to say anything to you that may be inappropriate just because they're older than you, or they may be an adult and you feel like they're an authoritative figure. You feel like you have to do what they say, and that's not the case. But needless to say, let me go ahead and kind of get my story out there and kind of give you guys a background on why I even wanted to talk about this. So when I was 7 or 8, maybe in like the 2nd or 3rd grade, and it's ironic because that's the same age my son Mason is now. He's 7, he'll be 8 in December. And so I was right around his age. And even looking back, they say hindsight is always 20/20, right? So even looking back and thinking about, his mindset being 7 and 8, and thinking about someone doing anything to him, touching him or feeling him, it would just break my heart and break me down into pieces and probably send me to jail. But yeah, let me go ahead and just kind of let you guys know what happened. So like I said, I was like 7 or 8 and I had a babysitter. And I'm not going to use their real names because I'm not trying to expose them. Granted, I mean, this is something that happened while I was there, but this isn't about them. This is about me sharing my experiences with you guys. So maybe, there's a young girl out there who may be watching, or maybe there's someone who has a young daughter and they kind of want to bring up the conversation and have that dialect subliminally, can't talk, subliminally, whatever. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. With your little sisters or your little cousin or whatever, you kind of want them to be able to come to you and talk. This is that platform. So anyway, I had a babysitter. We're going to say that her name was Miss Thomas, and Miss Thomas had an older son, an adult son. He probably was in maybe his mid to late 30s, but he lived with her nevertheless. And he had children of his own. He had two daughters, one that was a little bit older than me and one that was a little bit younger than me. And then he had two sons. Now, both of his sons and his oldest daughter lived in the household with Miss Thomas, and we're going to call him George. I'm not going to, give the kids or anything fake names because they don't have anything to do with this, but I just kind of wanted to paint the picture so you guys can know where I'm going with this. So anyway, Miss Thomas was the primary caregiver for one of George's children because he was mentally disturbed, or mentally disabled, I should say. And, because her son was kind of in and out of using drugs, he kind of wasn't really stable enough to take care of his kids. She kind of picked up that grandma role and was taking care of her grandson. So a lot of the time, Miss Thomas was in and out of the apartment. Like sometimes she was there, but if she had to take him to the doctor or if she had to, take him to different programs, she wasn't really there. So you can say that George basically was watching me. Of course, unbeknownst to my mom, because she's paying Miss Thomas to watch me. So she's thinking that's where, that's who's watching me and that's who my caregiver is or whatever. But it really wasn't. It was George. George was the one who was there, who was watching me, and looking after me until, my mom got to me. So it basically just started with him looking after me. At first, it was really just, me in the living room watching TV, doing homework, whatever the after school activities entailed once I got there. But then it started with, Miss Thomas wouldn't be there and he'd be like, hey, you can come in my room and watch TV. You don't have to sit out here by yourself or whatever. Because his youngest son would, be in the room with him or whatever. You can come in here, you can watch TV with me, blah, blah, blah. So me being, 7, 8 is kind of just like, okay, well, whatever. I'll go watch TV in there. No big deal. And then it got to the point where sometimes I would want to take naps and, sometimes I would want to take naps and he would allow me to lay across the foot of the bed, just to kind of rest my eyes for a little bit or whatever, take a little nap. And again, to me, it was innocent. It wasn't anything that was a big deal. So, I would take naps at the foot of his bed. And then it turned into that. It turned from that to, well, you've been in school all day with, your clothes on. You've been, running around the playground, doing this, that, and the third. So this is around the cooler weathers in New York. In New York, y'all know how it gets cool around October, November. So you probably got on tights or long johns or whatever. So it will get to the point to where he's like, well, you've been in school all day with your clothes. They're dirty. I don't want you on my bed with that stuff. You have to take off your pants. So underneath my pants, I would have on long johns or something, or tights or something underneath. It would never just be my underwear where I was in his bed with just my underwear on. And I think at that age, I would have known that that's something that's inappropriate. But, when you're a child and an adult is giving you instruction, you don't want to not do it. You don't want to listen to what they say because you feel like you're going to get in trouble. So it kind of was just like, okay, well, this is an adult, it's fine. My mom has me here. She trusts these people. It's fine. So it turned into that. I would lay at the foot of the bed and, I'd take off my uniform pants or what have you and have on my long johns or my leggings or whatever I had underneath my pants. And then from that, it turned into me starting to feel him touching me while I was laying down. I can feel him, rubbing my back and rubbing on my thighs and, really weird things like that. And in the moment, it felt like it wasn't supposed to be happening. And it was kind of just I was shell shocked, kind of what's going on kind of thing. And it happened several times. Like it wasn't just once, it wasn't just twice. It turned into like a trend to where um, it got to the point to where after it happened like a handful of times, I didn't want to take naps anymore. You know, I stopped taking naps. You know, I started going back in the living room and wanting to watch TV and kind of just isolating myself and being around, you know, myself and being in my own little bubble because it was just very uncomfortable. And I don't know what happened between my mom and Miss Thomas or what have you,